Greetings, citizens, and welcome to the very first episode of our brand new weekly broadcast, Reverse the Verse. I'm your host, Community Content Manager, Jared Huckabee. So, wait, didn't we already do Reverse the Verse before? We did, sort of. Those of you that have been here for a couple of years might remember the informal web series that we did way back in the day, begun by our very own Ben Lesnick and featuring such memorable members of the Star Citizen community team over the years, such as Will Lewis, James Pugh, Alexis Lesnick, Thomas Hennessy, Justin Chambers, and more. That show was a very casual, chill stream where we reviewed the events of the week, answered questions posed live from the community, and essentially we just hung out with the fans. Now, because the only constant in video game development is change, in 2017 we switched things up with a new type of broadcast called Happy Hour, where even within that format, there were 4 different variations of that show you could see each and every week. Whether it was the interview where we sat down with developers, the showcase where we played the game with members of the Star Citizen community, the museum where we explored one of the games from history that make up Star Citizen's DNA, and of course the game dev, where members of our development staff came on to create game assets live and do their very best to try to get me fired in the process. It was a good show. For 2018, we're bringing with us a little bit of something old and a little bit of something new. The new Reverse the Verse Live will still keep the look back at the news and content from the week with a dash of the personality and irreverence that I can't seem to repress at times, but mixed with the more informative developer interview segments from Happy Hour and a sprinkling of some occasional community spotlight moments from the now retired Citizens of the Stars. It's a new mix, and as usual, we'll continue to tweak it each and every week. Again, the only constant in game development is change, and it'll be my job to try to bring you as much variety in the Friday broadcast as I can manage. I hope you'll enjoy it. With that, let's get the show started and move on to our week in review. Now, this isn't so much about last week as it is still the biggest news story for Star Citizen at the moment. Alpha 3.0 is out. The teams in studios around the world brought Star Citizen's biggest patch to date across the finish line right before the holiday break. And many members worked tirelessly over the break to continue tweaking and twerking and hotfixing things to improve the overall experience for all backers. Now, we hadn't released a patch to our live environment since 2.6.3 earlier in 2017. So it was not only a great moment for everyone on the teams at Cloud Imperium Games and Foundry 42, it was also an important reminder to everyone everywhere that all Star Citizen game environments, whether they're the private ones for our Evocati test flight, the more accessible public test universe, or the open to all backers live alpha, well, they're all testing environments. We appreciate each and every one of you who are taking the time not only to hammer our servers, but to submit reports to the Issue Council, post about your experiences on Spectrum, YouTube, or Twitch, and just participate in the shared experience that building the first-person universe and best damn space sim ever for Star Citizen. Now, recently, a Chairman's Club newsletter went out to concierge members announcing that our very first private concierge event, hosted here in our Los Angeles studio, will happen this year on May 4th. The first tickets for this event went on sale right at the beginning of this broadcast, so I'm guessing they're almost certainly sold out by now. But there's going to be 2 additional batches going live on the storefront today, both at 5 p.m. and 10 p.m. Pacific. It'll be an interesting evening, to be certain. And for those of you who are unable to attend, we're going to have a sort of video diary of the party available to you guys in either the days or the weeks afterwards, so following the event, so nobody gets left out. This month's flyable subscriber ship was announced, and it's the Retaliator Bomber. One of the earliest ships worked on by our very own Nathan Dearsley out of Foundry 42. It's a ship that some say maybe hasn't found its niche in the Star Citizen persistent universe yet. But I'm willing to bet when the day comes that capital ships enter the fray, we're going to see the sleek lines of the Retaliator Bomber in the universe a bit more than we do today. Subscribers can go give it a go now. In other subscriber news, we closed out 2017 with our annual end-of-the-year subscriber poll, and the results were posted in this week's subscriber newsletter. You'll see some of the changes coming to subscriber perks as a result of this poll in the coming weeks and months ahead. But it's nice to see just how many of you like Jump Point as much as I do. And I do want to give a special shout out to the 594 of you who picked Citizens of the Stars as your favorite show. It's not just that you liked it, but you picked it as your favorite. Respect to the Star Citizen community. Now, our development subscribers also learned that there's a special subscriber-specific tour coming to our LA and Derby offices in the coming months. Now, details of those events were emailed to all subscribers in the very same newsletter this week. It'll be a fun chance to see what not only goes into making an ATV each and every week here in LA, but also what goes into the face scanning process for our compatriots in Derby, England. Check the newsletter for the days and times those studio tickets will be available. And finally, wrapping up this week was yesterday's return of the new Around the Verse episodes after our holiday hiatus. It was a great old school ATV look at much of what went into the publishing process for getting Alpha 3.0 out the door to you before the end of the year. And the ever verbose Tony Zurovec pontificated on a number of new features and processes we're working on in the new year to make the overall Star Citizen experience everything that we want it to be. Chris and Sandy also made mention of another new broadcast that will begin its run each and every week on Monday called, well, Calling All Devs. Now, this is a new backer-sourced Q&A based show, kind of in the vein of the original 10-4 series back in the day, but we've streamlined it for the very precious time requirements of our development staff. And this new format will allow us to go quicker than ever and directly to the developer most suited to answering your questions in a succinct manner. Well, as succinct as I ever am. You'll see the first episode of this new show that airs on Monday. And with that, that's all the news I have for this week. We're going to take a quick break now, and when we return, we're going to sit down with Global Head of Production and Grand Poobah of Foundry 42, the effervescent Erin Roberts. Stay tuned. And we're back. And joining us here on our very first episode of Reverse the Verse Live, Grand Poobah, no? Not Grand Poobah? No, Flintstones? No. Erin Roberts. Erin, how you doing, man?
Good. No, it's good to be here. I travel over, get across to the States pretty regularly now, so probably at least 5-6 times a year.
Yeah, I've seen you more in the last 2 months than I did in the last 2 years.
Yep. Well, it helps. My family lives in Austin, so it was a good excuse to come and spend some time with my parents, and then also work from the Austin and LA offices as well.
That's right. Now, most people know who you are in the Star Citizen community, but we're getting new Star Citizens every day. It's since we've had you on one of our informal streams, I checked the date, we've gained something like 300,000 new citizens, so there's quite a few people who may not actually know who you are. So let's just start off real simple. Tell us who you are, what you do for Cloud Imperium Games and Foundry 42 and Star Citizen in general.
So my responsibilities here are to run development for the company. Mm-hmm. So basically, everything from production, development to assigning it and organizing and prioritizing our tasks and development and worldwide. So that's why I spend a lot of time between the US offices and also in the German office and the UK. And I run the UK office as well when I'm there, but obviously I'm on the road probably about 6 months a year at the moment.
Right, and you are, of course, not only the head of global production, you're also the head of Foundry 42, like you said, the UK mm-hmm. and the Germany office. Mm-hmm. The name Roberts isn't a coincidence either. You're also Chris's brother.
I am, yes. Chris and I have worked together in the industry for,
It's been
35, probably 34, 35 years on and off, starting from working in the back room of my parents' place to then, I guess the first working job would have been, in terms of rather than just developing at home, would have been at Origin Systems working on Times of Law and then Wing Commander probably.
We played Times of Lore. We had a happy hour museum where we were playing the games that are in Star Citizen's DNA going back. And I played Times of Lore for the first time, I guess it was 3 months ago. I liked it.
Yeah, going back, yeah, it's very different.
It was. I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't that. But I enjoyed it.
I think when you get at the time when you play the games, it's amazing. But now when you look how much technology's moved on and what you can do in storytelling, that there are some times I go back to games which I loved as a child, and I go, wow, okay, yeah, it's just a different experience.
I imagine it's important, just like when you watch an old movie. It's important you have to put your brain in a time capsule. You have to kind of go back to what was available then, the other media and the other story, the way storytelling worked then. You can still enjoy those older things if you can manage that. Not everybody can. I struggle sometimes, but I enjoy it. So with our new Reverse the Verse here, we like to do a follow-up to ATV. Now, of course, yesterday we just had a very Austin-centric ATV where we focused on the entire published process of getting ATV out the door. We heard a lot from Tony about the entire process. Tony and Mike Jones and Ahmed about everything that went into those last couple weeks, and especially the last couple days, and very much the last couple hours to get 3.0. Tell us the story from your perspective. What was it like in that last day or week? When you were in Austin, you actually traveled.
I was in Austin. I flew to Austin on the Wednesday actually. So before that, I was in the Manchester office. Arrived, and we were, at the time we were trying to. That last week is about trying to solidify the build, so you have something which you feel you can go live with. And also, published to a larger group of people. So, yeah, I mean, it's really just more about just purely on a, from my level, it's about making sure that we have builds which are stable, that basically we feel can be used as backup candidates for going live and so forth and things. And then just on in the more, you're looking to basically, because specifically if you go back a bit, 3.0 is such a huge amount of work in terms of it's not just what people can see in terms of it, but actually in terms of everything beneath behind the scenes in terms of technology we had to build to make everything work. So there's a huge amount of work that was going on in the scenes. So just getting the base of work before you even talking about some of the gameplay feature stuff, you've got to get this base of tech working to support the features and get the features working. And so all these things have to come together. And then you want to get it, obviously, to the community as fast as possible because you want to have all that feedback and that ability for people to get it out there, to see it, to specifically over the Christmas period is a great period for us because in the company, well, there's two reasons. One is is we get to, and why we do this is we love getting a version out because then we can get loads of feedback over the Christmas period, get the sort of stuff like that, and then we've got that for the new year when we kind of generally kick off, okay, it's a new year, this is what we're going to do this year. And secondly, it's great for us because it's the only time that CIG actually shuts down as a company.
Yes.
And so every studio shuts down between Christmas and New Year's, and everybody gets some time off to just to, after like a hard year, just to regain some focus. And it does mean a lot because even though obviously people take holidays, if you're on holiday and you've still got 200 emails coming in the day, sometimes it's kind of hard. So on that side, so it's a good thing. So we really pushed hard to do that, and so it's all about managing the process, so we know we'll have something we can go live with and so forth.
And it's a process that we've done before. We released 2.6 the last holiday season, and I believe 2.0, if I'm remembering back right, was the holiday season before that.
Yep.
So it's kind of an established rhythm for us at this point.
It is, and also it's a hard target. It's like, because you basically want to get this done, you want to get it out there, and also you want to make sure that you're, and so it's a nice target for the team to go, let's get it out, enjoy your holiday, and the community gets to, to check out all the latest great stuff. Okay.
So let's drill down a little bit further into the actual published process real quick. We saw a lot of that on ATV yesterday, a lot of talk with Ahmed and stuff like that. So we have a stable candidate. QA is signed off. QA said yes. We think this candidate is good. We're ready to. You can push this live. What happens at that point?
Well, so what you tend to do is in fact, because certain things happen. Yes, you have a candidate, you feel pretty good about it. I think in the case of what actually happened was we had one issue, and so we basically we had to rebuild that one issue and so forth, and did the testing to make sure it was fine. And that's why we pushed basically to PTU to everyone on the Friday, and then actually went live on the Saturday, because we wanted to give it a full cycle in PTU with a lot of people in there to make sure it's good to go live. And then on the Saturday, then we felt good about going live for that kind of stuff. But during that period of time, while QA signing off, obviously the live ops guys are making sure it's all ready to go, getting all the information, together that we have to do. And of course, there's a whole community side of making sure, okay, we need to deliver the letters out to everybody, letting know this is all coming and so forth and things like that. So you have this whole moment. So, and typically while this build's going on, because every now and then, the build might break, and so you sit there, those last moments going, well, we're kind of out of time. Hopefully this build will be fine, and there won't be any issues. And that's what's going through your mind as you're doing stuff. I mean, fortunately, just to talk about stuff we've done this year to make a massive difference to our development flow is, the build system, it used to take us 3-4 hours to get one build done. And now, because of all the great work the guys have been doing, we now can knock builds out in like less than an hour. And so that makes a huge difference. So rather than just maybe doing 1 or 2 builds a day and clogging up the whole system, now we can just churn out builds, and that makes a massive difference to the iteration and getting stuff done, and for everybody in the company as well. And also, because of that, getting stuff out to the team.
Yeah, I think that's...
And to the community, sorry.
I think that's something that's sometimes lost, that we're not just making a game, we're also making the way that we make the game.
We're building a company, still are, while building technology, while building a game. And so all the time we're refining our processes. We're basically working hard on, we will do something and we'll go, well, that's too many steps to get where we want to be. So we basically then go back and say, okay, we need to create a pipeline or a tool chain that that makes it easier. Or, well, to get for instance, a character in the game has to go from this person to this person, this person, this person, blah, 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 blah. And you go, well, that's crazy. So how do we get this automated to knock out as many people as possible, and then also to keep it so, well, why can't just one person do most of this and then maybe hand off whatever and so forth? So all the time those discussions are going on, and we have this year we have a huge roadmap of we did loads last year. We've got even more to do this year, because the idea is we want to get much more efficient, for this stuff. So as we're bringing more content, it involves fewer people, can get more content out there, on that sort of level.
Now, so we've got the candidate. Everybody's done their parts. Publishing has prepped the servers. They've wiped the staging environment, all that stuff like that. Who gives the final go? Who's the person that says switch?
Typically, on something like that, the live go. Typically, if it's we're just chucking out another patch, then that would be a call that would be left. Okay, the way the process would work is, as we're going through the year, we'd basically have a meeting and say, okay, we good to put another patch out for the PTU. For the PTU. Yeah. And that would be just basically we'd have a meeting, and typically I'd be the UK time, and I'd say, okay, if this is all good and this is working fine, and we feel this build that's going to come out to be tested in Austin, because I'll be in the UK at this time, then you've got my go ahead to go ship, and then it'll be a production call in the LA time zone to go make this, which wouldn't really involve like senior people, because it'd be like, hey, that sounds good, let's get this out. When it came to the live one, I basically explicitly just said, okay, Chris is going to make that call.
I remember because I had made an unfortunate agreement with the community not to shave until 3.0 was out. So I was in a bathroom here with my laptop ready, just watching this Skype. I'm watching it's almost like a shuttle launch. It's like Capcom check. Everybody's checking in, and I'm just like, hey, come on, Chris. Say go. And in a team chat, in the launch chat, there's like 100 people in this chat. I'm like, everybody's just ready. Goes, all right, just need a final word from Chris. And Chris goes, maybe we should wait another 30 minutes so Jared doesn't have to, so Jared won't have to shave. And I was just like, and then Chris took mercy on me and pushed the patch out. But no, it was a good moment. I've been here for a number of these larger patches, and this one definitely felt a little different. This one felt like the accumulation of a whole lot of work.
It was really one of those where, we've been working on it for a long time. There's so much going on under the hood, that it was really important that we got it out there, because now having it out there and having information from that, then we now have a great roadmap of all the stuff we want to do going forward, not only just in terms of features and content, but in terms of all the work we need to do on optimization and other stuff and things, because we have this feedback. Because you don't get a lot of the stuff when I mean, just I know, kind of going a bit off question here, but a lot of the stuff that happened when we went live over Christmas, we hadn't seen really in before that. Even though we actually were with Evercatty, we were on a PT and so forth and things like that. But it's when people got in and started doing stuff in certain ways and playing stuff and things like that, that actually these issues came up. Now, fortunately, for some of the worst ones, because we have our back end side, we can actually make changes on the server side,
like the interdiction,
exactly all that kind of stuff, to fix those issues without having to do a new build. And so that's why that's great for us, because we can say, okay, that was an issue, but we can fix that, because doing a new build is, as everyone talked about, is a big process. It requires people to go in, you have to do a new build, you've got to test it, that kind of stuff. But on the back end side, we can just tweak parameters and so forth, or change, or turn things on and off and so forth. So that helps a lot. But it is really just like it's a big deal for that stuff.
Additionally, in yesterday's ATV, there was a little bit of talk about the cutting of features from 3.0 to move to 3.1 or possibly 3.2. What can you tell us about that process? Were there things that we wanted to put in 3.0, but we had to push the 3.1 to get 3 allowed?
So mostly we didn't get it as much in other features we'd have liked. So that was most of the stuff that happened. So in terms of let's say some of typically we felt like there was one or two more sort of steps we could have taken. But what you do is you have to get to a certain period of time, and this ties into, which we can talk about a little bit, is what we want to do next, this year. But I mean, but it's like the big deal is that you need to get in a situation where you are basically if we're serious about of getting 3.0 out, then you've got to make certain calls. And so there's some stuff like that. And the only feature which I can think of, and there's probably one or two more, but just off the top of my head right now, is character customizers. One we'd have liked to put in, we didn't make, and obviously we're working hard on that now. And there was one or two other things, like we made a big call at the end. There's been a lot of work gone on to the damage system to make it a lot better, and it was ready. But it became ready literally 2 days before we were going to ship, and we just made a call. So this is, putting that in right now is going to be just a bit silly. So let's do that kind of stuff. Let's put it in after Christmas, and then have time with 3.1 to basically make sure that there's a whole new system, so the ship's damage, blow up better, all that kind of stuff and things. So we get that in later.
All right, so this is a good time to remind everybody that we are taking questions from the chat. You can post your questions in either the Twitch chat or the Spectrum chat. Spectrum is, of course, our custom communications platform available on robertsspaceindustries.com. We've got a couple questions coming in already. Erin, it's been stated that we're going to have 4 big patches throughout the year, quarterly patches. How are we going to make sure that we make those dates?
So we are very much... Okay, so I have to go back to last year. Last year we had a huge, I think we talked about it, it's a massive amount of technical work as well as feature work to get 3.0 out. And that was just something we had to do to get us where we are. We couldn't, it was very hard to, a lot of that work was about getting, the basics working. Foundation. Yes, for that kind of stuff. And yes, we wanted to get it out a lot earlier. There was a lot of work we didn't. And one thing that we want to do regularly, because it's important to us, just as much as I'm sure it's important to the community to have regular updates, is because we want that feedback. We want to get versions out there. That's how we we basically get that iteration and stuff. And iterating is really important in game development. Whether we're doing it with the community, which is awesome that we do it with, and we have all the help, or even internally that you'll never see usually in game projects. There's a huge amount of iteration. You do something, they do internal test groups, they give you feedback, they do all that kind of stuff and things. So last year, doing all this work was a big deal. So what we talked about is, as soon as we get 3.0 out, we want to change to a completely different model. And the model is going to be date-driven, not feature-driven. And so this means, yes, we have a number of features, bug fixes, polish, whatever you call it, we want to do for a certain timeline. And we set it up, and that's what the team works towards. We give ourselves a period of actual development on that, on feature work. So especially on the feature side, and that development is going to run typically to about 50 to 60% of the available time. And once we get to that level, hopefully, and it won't happen every time, just so people and you guys know, but we're going to work very hard on it, is the vast majority of the features, the stuff we wanted to put in, is worked in that time. Then we go to the team then moves to a completely separate model, which is, it goes from feature development to close down, bug fixing, polish in terms of minor bugs and that kind of stuff and so forth sort of level. And so what we do is we get to this point and we go, okay, which features are done? Great, all those are in 3.1. Any features which have not made it, we go, okay, you're now going to be in 3.2. You're going to be in the next patch, and we're just now going to take everything that's done now, we're going to polish it, we're going to optimize it, we're going to do everything we need to do, all this kind of stuff to make it much better, and then we release, in our date time. And that's how you can do it. And it should be very doable and predictable in that sort of way, because what kills you is when you turn around and say, I really want that feature in, and then you go, okay, well, yeah, it hasn't quite made it, but if we just another 2 weeks and it'll make it. So
another 2 weeks.
Well, the other we'll polish here and we'll do this, but we're going to keep this feature going and hopefully make it. The problem is, as you're developing that feature, you're creating more bugs, more issues. The people who are typically doing the feature work are the same guys you want fixing bugs and doing all that kind of stuff and so forth. So it creates this perpetual cycle of things slipping. And so we're going to be very hardcore. I'm going to say, did it make it? Did it not make it? No, don't close down, move on. And that's the way we do it. And so you're still going to see the same features. But it may be that sometimes they slip to 3 months later. But the beautiful thing about this means that as a development team, we get great progress of building it, and also we keep stability because we're on a cycle of making sure we have to keep game dev stable, because we have to use it to go and keep on going out and publishing live to the community. And also it means the community then gets regular updates. And if you're in Evocati or the first waves of PTU, you're actually seeing that build. Then actually, you're only probably going to go from a live release probably 6 to 7 to 8 weeks before you see the next build. So hopefully that also means that. So, but it does mean. But it does mean that then you get that, people are seeing new stuff come online, they're getting that kind of stuff, they're seeing the delivery of that, they're seeing results a lot quicker, rather than just go, okay, we're going to go away for a year now, we're going to do this massive feature set, and then people going, okay, well, I've got nothing to do for a year now. And so we really want to have that, and it's not just, I think, really cool for you guys in the community, but also, like I said, internally for the dev team, it's a massive morale boost when we're getting stuff out there and people are playing it and they're giving the feedback, good and bad, but it's just really good to have the stuff out there and see that kind of stuff.
So does this change to release base, as far as feature base, make it harder to predict what features will be in each patch? Because there's the things that we're going to shoot for. It makes it.
Okay, so we're also putting a lot of time and effort into making our predictions better for what we're doing. One of the ways we're doing that is by not trying to do so much in one go. I mean, don't get me wrong, we're not going to cut back to stuff, but we've been very sensible about making sure that resources in the company are focused on one thing and not split between lots of different things and so forth and things like that. So I think we're going to be a lot more predictable about what you'll see and what we'll advertise will be in the patches. But like I said, yes, 1 or 2 things may slip, 1 or 2 things may not be quite as good as we want, and may move on to the next one. But the point is, it'll be an ever-improving cycle, and I think this new system will mean that that the predictability and also basic delivery of content to the community is going to speed up.
Gotcha. So with that, what's in 3.1?
So 3.1 is, we're very much focusing, and this is a lot to do with thing. We got 3.0 out, want to get out there, we've got the feedback. 3.1 is all about a big drive to solidify all that stuff. As well, there's 1 or 2 new features we're going to push for, but mostly it's about biggest one, and we're focusing on it already, we did a big thing, is performance. So getting all of the 3.0 stuff, of all the different base checks, all the kind of stuff, and just getting the features working is a massive deal. And now we're taking, and what we're doing is now we've got some of our more senior guys really taking the time out to basically now go in and do these huge optimization passes. So we basically know, we know where we need to optimize. There's a lot of stuff which is stuff we just, when you're doing the feature creation side, you then have to focus. We now need to focus people on the optimization. So that's a big one. So the plan for 3.1 is that it should be much faster than 3.0 is, and so it should be, in that sort of experience, should be a much better experience for the community. We have our goals for what that's going to be. Hopefully at the top end of our goal, everyone will be happy. But the point is the experience when it comes out, will be a lot better because there's a lot of things we do on the network side, on the rendering side, and also on the gameplay side, in terms of the way we do stuff, in terms of multi-threading. There's a lot of different things we know we can do. There's a lot of code we know is basically redundant and needs to be changed and fixed or thrown away and redone and so forth. So that's all work's going on. That's one of the big things. We're also doing, we're also going to be doing polishing up a lot of the UI in terms of making the UI and stuff better and things like that, because that's the big important part. So the readability, so you can use the HUDs and all that kind of lot better. That stuff going on. We have a bunch of work we'll be doing on combat, on space UI as well. We're going to have a bunch of work on the economy, because right now there's a lot of exploits and stuff. So we're going to do work more than sort of making that kind of stuff better. I'm just off the top of my head. There's a lot of things we are doing for
everything Erin Roberts is saying right now is committed to in stone. You can take it to Reddit
and stuff. And we want to obviously interdiction. We want to balance better and do stuff. And then one of the features we do really want to get in, and hopefully we get this in, is it's basically. It's the ability for a player, because now we have interdiction and now we have people. So let's say you're on a planet, or you get interdicted, you're in space, or someone attacks you wherever you are and so forth. It's what was called the service beacon, which I don't know, and then basically it's the ability, and we just want to get the first level of it, which is basically the ability for a player to go to basically communicate to anyone else who's near them or in the system who can get to them. This is where I am. And if they're under attack, help me, I'm under attack, and they can send basically a nav point for people to go to help them. Mm-hmm. And so that could be whether you crash on a planet and you've got no way off, and you can say, hey, I'm here on the planet, come and someone pick me up and save me, or I'm being attacked by pirates, please come and help me, or whatever, and so forth. And this will be the first element of it. Now, this whole system will build into, I'm sure Tony's talked about it, your ability to actually then, for players to make missions for each other, because then you'll go, hey, I'm here, I'll pay you 500 euros to pick me up, I'll pay you 500, UEC to pick you up, or whatever it is, don't quote me on prices, I'm just throwing them out there, and stuff like that, but that's the idea and so forth from that level.
Right. So in addition to taking the questions live from chat, we did throw up a thread on Spectrum. We collected questions for the last day, and folks were able to vote on them. And so one person could submit a question, then other people could vote and say, yeah, that's the one I want asked and whatnot. Our number one top voted question, it's about space combat in a space game. Can we have some information on what to expect for space combat improvements?
Okay, so yes, we'll be improving it. Because we've made adjustments about how thrusters work and so forth. I think that's made. So a while back, we basically purposely slowed combat down to combat speeds, because we wanted a more visceral experience. When you're in combat and you AI, we don't want you just fighting with pixels, because it's not as fun. We want you, and we want the AI to act intelligent and so forth. So we'll be putting a lot of work into making sure that we want the ability for a player that if they're just cruising down to a planet and it's like boring because they've got kilometers, 1,000 kilometers to go, then on the straight line they can use afterburners, they can get down there faster, so you're not, so that's the stuff. But I think when you're not in a straight line, we're going to have to make some adjustments. So, and also the way the AI actually flies and what they do and so forth to make that experience against the AI, more interesting. Mm-hmm. Which means there'll be work on the physics system. Obviously, there'll be more work on combat over planets as well, because we're going to be improving the atmospheric flight and so forth as well, and things like that. But yes, making the flight AI better, and obviously is something which those are the games I've worked on, and that's something I take a great personal interest in, is making sure that experience is better. Now, so there will be improvements for 3.1, absolutely, but this is a process which is going to keep on going. We plan on making it better and better and better and better. So, think of this as a first step, and then the next version comes out and it'll be better again. The team isn't going to stop working on it. So this team is going to keep on working on it to make it better and better. So you see this as an improvement through the year, where things just get better and better along, because the team is still there. We have our flight AI team, and they'll just go and keep on doing. And we have our physics guys, and they'll be going the same thing all the way through. And the idea is, and then the great thing is, as we go out, we see how people are playing. And I'm sure we've mentioned this before to the community, but our developers spend a lot of time looking at the videos that are made by the community.
Yes, they do.
They don't. It's not. It really is. It's a very collaborative experience and stuff. So even if you might, you might throw some questions in about this stuff, but actually the stuff you're playing and showing when you're flying stuff, that's the stuff our designers, our programmers stuff, they'll download, they'll look at, they'll go and stuff, and it's amazing because they'll go, okay, that's not how it's meant to work, and so forth and things. And so this stuff is really good info for us. Not just on like if it's entered for a bug in the system. It's like literally we go to YouTube and just watch what's going on and just look at stuff. Yeah, 100%. And that's brilliant. We have that with the community. There's no other businesses do not have that at all. And it's like we can make this game with that sort of way and with that support. It does make a massive difference.
And of course, ship combat is not just a system that helps Star Citizen. It's obviously a system that's going to be very important for Squadron 42.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
likewise, we're not. Throw too many promises out, but we're not that far off from getting FPS AI into the PU as well to really make missions more interesting. I'm not promising this for 3.1, but the thing is like we have when we have that, when you can go out to planet, you can do stuff and things like that. Then you've actually all of a sudden there's a bit of danger. You go down, you're going to do a mission. Is there someone waiting to attack me? Is there stuff going in the shell, rest of that? And so likewise, like we're making these changes here. The squadron guys are also very much focusing on the FPS side. As soon as that's in the state that we believe is good enough for a tier 0 implementation into the PU, we'll put that in using a lot of that work that's gone from the FPS team as well.
Gotcha. Now, of course, we part of a new ATV format. We talked a little. Chris and Sandy talked a little bit about it in the hosting yesterday. We will be doing features on Squadron 42 from now on through the rest of the year. So most Squadron 42 questions will probably save for the reverse the verses that follow up those Squadron 42s. We do have one Squadron 42 question here from the fans I do want to ask you. How does it feel to finally be able to show off Squadron 42?
It's good. It's a good feeling. It's a lot of work, and it's like so we have. It's a shared code base. So it's like the Squadron and Star Citizen are basically the same game. Obviously, we're doing more of a single player sort of version of it. But and so basically, being able to get a lot of the stuff. But the thing with Squadron, it's all about the storytelling. And that sort of very in-depth feel. So a lot of time had to go into getting the characters, the shaders, and stuff. So you almost to really give it a beautiful cinematic feel and so forth, and then be able to show, and then actually now starting to show off how these big structures. Like the Shubin station you see is like I think it's like
so
it's like 12 kilometers long. It's like and that kind of stuff. You can see how big the Idris is. You can see how big the Idris is compared to it and so forth and things like that. So that's the level of like things.
Yeah. The TV, if you just turn the TV back on. No, right there. I just need you to turn the TV back on. I can't see what's going on. I was talking to, not to name drop here, but Sam Witwer. He's an actor. He's done a bunch of video games. He did The Force Unleashed. He was the main character. He's working on a game called Days Gone, which has which has a whole bunch of hours of cinematics. And he was telling me that because he saw the holiday special. He was like, oh my God, I want to be a part of this. I need to be a part of this. The storytelling's amazing. He was going off on Liam Cunningham and everything. So it was. I remember watching it when we were broadcasting it, just going, I couldn't believe the quality.
Oh no, it's get it together and seeing it all together. And once again, just externally, but internally for the team, it's like great to actually be able to show it after all the times we're doing stuff and things like that, and get it together. And also it's once again it's a great test case of once again okay, because a lot of the work is making the tools work the way they need to do. When you're putting together those cinematics, it's a huge amount of work behind the scenes of like, okay, well, we can get this working, but that took way too long. We've got to get this down to taking half a day, not like a week to do sort of stuff. And so all these conversations happening in all the areas. But the beauty is with Squadron, when we have all that sort of tech as well, then we can start thinking about putting some of these sort of story stuff into the PU as well at some point as well.
Yes. All right, so pivoting back to Star Citizen, remember, we'll have a place for Squadron 42 questions on the reverse the verses that follow the Squadron 42 ATV specials. But one of the most common questions we're seeing, and I've been seeing it for a while, the Delta Patcher. The backers have been waiting for the Delta Patcher for a long time. The Delta Patcher, is what's going to prevent people from having to download every asset of the game every single time. But now that we have the Delta Patcher, we've announced we're only doing 4 patches a year. Is that it? Is it 4 big content patches? But will there be smaller hotfixes?
So there's two. The Delta Patch side anyway, because if you're just waiting for a live patch, yes, then it's probably like okay, because quite a bit will change between builds and so
Content
forth,
patches,
and so forth, things like that. But if you're actually, like a lot of them, Evocati or people go onto the PTU side, when you're downloading a new patch every day, it makes a massive difference,
Yes.
and so forth and things. And so if I guess if you're only downloading it 4 times a year, then it's probably not such a big deal, but it is. I tell you, the change was a massive deal in terms of for a lot of people doing that kind of stuff. But just because we're doing 4 large patches, which is the plan, it doesn't mean we won't maybe do like a smaller patch if we need to for a reason. And hopefully, we plan to get the patches in the state, but it may be we might want to patch because we want to introduce some new ships or something, or whatever it is. So what we're saying is, look, we're giving you, a quarterly patch. These will be nice, big, changes that literally they'll be, get in there and do this stuff. But then it doesn't mean we're not going to just say, well, actually, we might have to do a hot fix or something, or actually, we've got some cool new content we can put in, which actually the gameplay systems themselves won't change. It's just adding some content to something, that kind of level. Because adding a ship, we keep it in the same branch. But every time we do, and this is one of the discussions I think when we went out and I was talking about the reason why it was important to get 3.0 out last year is because we've been in the 3.0 branch for a long time, but our main development branch is actually game dev. And so the longer you're out of 3.0 and you're trying to get the stuff working, you can't go back to game dev. Now, all the new optimization work, all the stuff things, all the new tool, all the stuff you're trying to do, all the new content is sitting in game dev. And so if you just stay on 3.0 all the time, then you can't get out. And so I know there's a question of like, and so we needed to get 3.0 out, get the feedback from that so we could go back to game dev, take all the information from there, so then we could, and then once we go back to game dev, then the next step is we take all these changes and fixes, and then we go back to the 3.1 branch, which we'll do sometime in February, and that will be the but we've taken all the goodness, put it back in there, and then once again game dev will be working on saying, while we just polish and bug fix to get 3.1 out while the work continues in game dev for the other stuff.
Back to that Spectrum thread, and we're almost done. But back to the Spectrum thread, the second most voted question, this had like 150 votes. In 3.0, there's no blind quantum jumps. People can't just point their ship at a star and just quantum jump. They can only navigate to the orbital markers. Is that a temporary decision? Or will the return of blind jumps be in Star Citizen's future?
We haven't finished. We basically we're still working on the star map and how all that system works. And that's also one of the things which is great to get the feedback on what we're doing and so forth. The thing about blind jumps is obviously fuel. So I guess you could do a blind jump, but you'd have to then decide to bring yourself out at a random location or just run out of fuel. But yeah, I don't have like I said, for me personally, I think that'd be perfectly fine to do. It's not a huge challenge. It's just more about whether you want to let players do that kind of stuff. And I can see, however, I guess as a player, you might just want to do a blind jump because you want to get away from someone and just Battlestar Galactica style, you just jump away and hope the silence don't find you. But
also for folks to potentially discover new jump points.
Yep,
you'll have to be able to.
You can go and explore and so forth and things like that. And also, like I said, we want to bring the ability for players to create nav markers for other players as well, so they can go there and say, okay, hey, come here, this is where I am, this location, or that kind of stuff, which is important.
Okay. Let's see, what else do we got before we let you go here? Am I here? Erin, did you ever think Star Citizen was going to be as huge as it is now?
Oh dear. No, when I joined, it was
2013.
Yeah, it was basically and Chris convinced me to come on board and stuff. It was very much a we were going to have some plans, and obviously things have definitely grown way out of my expectations. For stuff. So I would say that in terms of getting Star Citizen to where it is now, my guess is it would have been a lot of the stuff would have been probably different in terms of. That's one of the things I'm sure Chris has talked about before as well. Is a seamless transition to planets and being able to wander around planets And that was never part of the original plan, but because of the advantages of having such great support and doing things and working with such talented people, is now all of a sudden we have this amazing procedural planet. So now you can actually seamlessly go down and land, whereas in the old days you just basically know that landing on a ship would have been probably land, and there'd be more sort of the original thought process would be more sort of Wing Commander-esque. But now no, you get to go there and walk around and do stuff and go to different rooms and all that kind of stuff. So definitely building this level of immersion, which I think is what I hope people want. We have so much support is because we just want to build almost a forgive the word, but second life. Of just like you go in there, you have your ability to just go in and lose yourself in this universe and do these incredible things that you can't do in real life. And actually, it just is that immersive quality of having that. That's what we try and do, is just build that realism into it. As everything, if you look at everything we do, we want it to look right and feel right and that kind of level and stuff. And and getting the tech and work with that kind of stuff to make that sort of stuff happen. And so, if I wouldn't have been interested in joining if we were just trying to do, and also run game. We're here trying to make something which is, and now is. Now we're getting a lot of the stuff in place, you can really start seeing it is something that just no one else has done before, and no one will be given the opportunity to do before, is to create something that's amazing.
I would be remiss if I didn't ask this question. This question comes up in almost every single Q&A, and we rarely have anybody that's at a high enough level to ask it. So it was also the third most highly voted. It's coming up in chat, it's coming up in the thread. What can you tell us, if anything, on the progress of the female character model? The playable.
Yeah, I mean, that's still planned, still going to happen. In terms of where the character is at the moment and so forth and things, but you're going to be able to customize your characters. Don't forget. So your player will be who you want your player to look like. But that's all absolutely planned. We plan to have a male and female and all that kind of stuff and things.
Okay. Right. Well, that's about it. That's all we have time for.
Okay.
You did it. You survived. Told you I've never lost anybody yet. We're going to take a break. We're going to be right back with our wrap-up, everybody. We'll see you then.
No, thanks very much, guys.
Every time we do a tour, we take you in the front door. But we're the working class sort here. We're going into the back. Now, we are here super early in the morning. This is our parking lot here. Because we are working on preparing our very first episode of the new Reverse the Verse. There's Scott. Scott just moved here yesterday. Hi, Scott.
Who's that?
All right. Let's go see the reason we're here so early. Oh, it's dark in here. So, we spent most of yesterday reconstructing what used to be known as the fan cave set. As you can see, I very diligently put away my tools as I was done. Yes, there was carpentry. Now, most of what I've got to do today, besides clean up the work mess, is I've got to finish this wall. Now, if you remember the fan cave from our 2016 shows, this wall is almost entirely backer art. Here's a good example of one right here. This is a canvas print. There's no glass, there's no frame, they're very lightweight. If you're an org that's of a reasonable size and you want to be displayed here on the wall, you can feel free to send a canvas absolutely no bigger than 20 by 30. I strongly recommend something in the 12 by 16 range. That way we can get more. If I can get 2 orgs on here instead of 1 org, that's probably what I'm gonna do. Now it's time for a meeting. There's board game on our commissary. Just playing some Star Citizen. But I have to go into a meeting for a concept ship. Now, basically we get to pitch. Looks like there's still a meeting in there going on, so we're gonna have to wait a couple minutes. We'll go into the meeting, talk about concept ship, how we're gonna pitch it, and talk with the designers and meet. And yeah, marketing stuff. That's what's next. There's Scott again. So we're out of that meeting. I have got to go and talk to Justin. Justin is the editor for ATV. Part of what I've had to do, well, I'll tell you. Hey, Justin.
Oh my gosh, we have a camera and I'm not ready to. Okay, wait. Okay, let's go. What's going on?
Seriously? I pulled a bunch of B-roll for you for ATV. It's in the folder. You know where it is, but it's there and I'm still pulling more. I would be remiss if I didn't point these out. This is Justin's collection of Christmas cards. The highlight of my holiday season, I can tell you, is every year when I come into the office and I see a new Justin Chambers original holiday card. All right, so I've got a few minutes. I'll just check in with some of my favorite people who work here and see what they're working on. So we're gonna talk to Elwin here. Hey, Elwin. How you doing, man?
What's up? What's going on?
Oh, what's wrong with your voice?
I'm just not feeling too well right now.
Oh,
I'm sick.
I feel like an ass.
It's cool, man. What's going on?
What are you working on? Like, is that the hurricane?
Yeah, I'm finishing up sort of the back end of the Hurricane. The engines, the geometry on the engines are almost done.
All right, I'll let you go back to being sick.
All right, man. Thank you.
I'm an ass for bothering him when he's sick. Look, there's Manchuri. One of the many dogs that roam around our office. This is Yoko. Hi, Yoko. In the process of hooking up our control station for Reverse the Verse. We're building everything out. There's community manager Tyler Nolan. Say hi, Tyler. Hello. We're setting this up now. This is where we will control Reverse the Verse each and every week. He's backstage. You can see it's back there. So we'll come back around here. So when you see me in front there, know that Tyler is quite literally behind me. He's the power running the show. This will be his first show. Okay, so I just left that meeting. That was another meeting about another ship thing.
There's already stuff in that folder.
Hey, JJ.
But it no one.
What?
I figured out what we're doing for the skit for the first episode.
What?
It's a day in my life. I'm just going around and filming.
Is that what this is?
That's what this is right now.
Go away.
See, I'm loved. I'm loved here. All right, so let's sit down and get started here. All right, so we finished setting up for our TV, but we also have to set up for ATV. ATV, you see ATV happens there, RTV happens there. That's when we film our ship shapes. Apparently, I worked through, we were into lunch, and everybody has left. Yes. All right.
It's hard to do. What are you doing?
I just got the best lunch that you can get. Everybody else left me. Everybody but Scott left me. Hi, Scott. Hey. So we're introducing Scott to the South Philly Experience cheesesteak truck. I got 2 in here. He only got 1. He's a lightweight. He's a beginner. But Wednesday is the best day because Wednesday is the day the cheesesteak trucks are here. So I have just finished the cheesesteak lunch. We have sat here watching Waiwaski HD. Waiwaski HD. You know how great I am at pronouncing names. But sat here eating our lunch. Hi, Alexis. Sat here eating our lunch, watching Waiwaski. He seems to be he's having a moment here. I don't know what's going on. Now we're wandering back. This is our second of 3 usual. Hey, there's Vinny. Hey, Vinny. That's pretty much the quintessential Vinny experience. Here's a guy that's never been on camera before. We show a lot of people on our Star Citizen videos. This is Dennis Crow, senior producer here in the Los Angeles studio. How you doing, man?
Hi guys, how you doing?
What are you working on, Nachos?
Nachos, yeah. Nachos, web surfing, phones.
What does a producer really do? Real quick. What does a producer really do?
Producer wraps up everything. We got 400 people working, so we try to make sure that they're all working towards the same goal, which is to get you guys stuff to play.
All right, well, good job, man.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Now get out of here.
All right, thank you, Dennis. Walk back through the commissary to go back to my desk, but I want to stop here. This is the office Galaga machine. Yes, this is the Galaga machine. This is some chumps, the last person who played. Look at that terrible score. That is my high score right there. I have the highest score in the studio. It's 150,000, almost 151,000. Chris Roberts once told me that I wasn't crap unless I got 100,000. So I got 150,000. So I am crap. All right, so right now I'm hanging in, what is this room called? Does this room have a name?
It's basically, it's the IT department.
The IT department. We're hanging out in the IT department because I needed a cable for the show. and this is where I come to steal cables. Dennis, how often do I come and steal cables?
Every other day.
Every other day. All right. So it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We are getting ready to shoot ATV hosting. That's JJ. He's adjusting the lights, and we're ready to film. That's Mike over there. Hi, Mike. Hey. Yeah. Any minute, Chris Roberts and Sandy Gardner will come in and they will shoot their hosting for Around the Verse.
And they'll tell you to leave the room.
No, I'm an integral part of this process. I sit in the back quietly.
Hey, can you get him out of here?
All right, so we are about to film Around the Verse. We have inserted a little surprise for Chris into the teleprompter. It is well known that Chris Roberts will read anything that you put on the teleprompter. You can see it appearing right there. Let's see if it works. Let's go.
The Austin team is going to be busy this year as we plan to deliver content enhancements and refinements for quarterly releases, which I think hopefully all you guys will be proud of.
Well, what? Why did you say the rest of it?
Go back. Thank you. All right. Here we go. And of course, thanks to all our backers who have developed Star Citizen and Squadron for this possible.
And until next week, we will see you around the verse.
I smile at the end of that because I keep seeing I'm wrong. So everyone thinks I'm like making fun of our backers. I'm wrong.
Well, that about wraps up this week's show and our very first episode of the new Reverse the Verse Live. I hope you enjoyed it. Some quick housekeeping before I go. The Tumbril Nova is on sale through the weekend until January 15th, so this will be your last chance to pick one up for a bit if you haven't already. Also, after the show, I'm hopping on a jet plane and heading far, far away from here to San Antonio to go to PAX South, and several developers from our Austin studio will be in attendance at a backer-organized Star Citizen event on Saturday. You can find all the details for that at barcitizen.sc. Finally, a very special thanks to Erin Roberts for agreeing to be my guinea pig one more time, and come back next week when we have another special guest, composer for Squadron 42, Mr. Jeff Zanelli, who will be live right here in the studio to discuss not only his work on the game itself, but specifically for the vertical slice that we saw in last month's holiday special. For Reverse the Verse, I'm Community Content Manager Jared Huckabee. We'll probably see you next week, everybody.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.